Ah, yes. The curse of filming during the day. I stayed up late last night to finish this book. It is actually here. Ooh, there. So if you saw my short, there you go. There's the surprise. I'm super subtle, aren't I? So it's called Golden. It's by Jessie Kirby, and the only reason a video is going up is because it was interesting enough to make me stay up to read it. So there you go. Otherwise I would not have gotten around to making a video this week. But before I say anything else, make sure you like and subscribe, hit that bell button so you're notified every time I post, and comment down below if you've read anything else by this author, because I absolutely have to look them up. Oh, also, I need to make it a habit to say that I have an Instagram. I'll put that somewhere on the screen. Check it out or don't. So I am going to breeze through this as quickly as possible because I really want to talk about how the story made me feel, for lack of less sappy words. Gross. It's called Golden. It's by Jessie Kirby. Look at the gold foiling on this book. Beautiful. Okay, there's this girl. Her name is Parker, and not gonna lie, to remember that I had to check back the book. I have a very bad habit of not remembering the main character's name when it is written in first person point of view. Is it written in first person? Okay, good. Yes, it is. Okay, but she has always done everything that her mother asked of her, you know, like she has good grades, she doesn't go to parties, she doesn't stay out past curfew. She's just always been the perfect kid until something fell into her lap, perhaps by fate, and it has the possibility to change everything. Super cryptic and annoying, I know, but there's a lot going on here and I don't want to spoil anything. I could not have read this at a better time unless that time was just a bit sooner. Okay, I have to try to not just like throw up everything I think about this book, so let's start with the title. Golden. It's perfect. This book is golden. Like, I didn't understand the title for most of the book, not gonna lie, and it's not like they like mention it specifically and then you're like, oh, the title makes sense now. But I just don't know if anything else could describe this book so well. Plus it made me think of Harry Styles' song, and that just made me happy. I'm also gonna start right off and say that I can't say anything about the ending because saying anything would spoil everything and I simply cannot do that. So read it if you care to find out, and I highly suggest that you do that. Now on to like the story itself. It's just the like perfect coming of age type of story, but not in the way that I would generally assume. You know, like generally when you hear like coming of age, like, I mean, I'm sure you know what comes to mind. Like, you think of like that group of high schoolers last summer on the beach and like doing stupid things and whatever. And like those are always fun books or movies, but this was just a very different coming of age. Like, this book wasn't let's have our last hurrah as kids before we're adults. This is let's figure out what I want with my life kind of a thing. And that is exactly what I needed in my life right now, and I can tell that this book is going to very quickly become a comfort book of mine just because it is lovely. It's just beautiful and new and brilliant and full of possibility, and it reminds me of a different way to look at life, a way that I've been trying to renew in myself lately. If you're about to graduate from high school and you have to figure out what you're doing with your life, read this book. If for no other reason than to see someone else go through the same thing that you're going through. Society puts so much pressure on us as 18-year-olds to go from being such a kid and you're not responsible enough to do anything and you're not smart enough to do anything to throwing you out on your own and saying, figure it out, time's up, figure it out. And that's a big deal, and it's exciting, but it's also terrifying. And I feel like this book kind of gives you that feeling really well. It just makes me think about the stars and the infiniteness of the universe. There are so many possibilities and possible outcomes for your life, and everything you do impacts that to a certain extent. One tiny little decision can change the path of your life forever. And I think that's so fascinating and so interesting. And change is usually scary, but I think it's also usually a good thing. When you outgrow your childhood friend, that sucks and that hurts. But then you move on to a different phase of life, and you meet new people, and you do new things, and life goes on. I think it was a quote from this book, like, at the beginning of the chapters, they always have a quote, and I think it was in this book that one of the quotes said, "I can sum up everything I've learned about life in 3 words. It goes on." And that is so perfect for this book. Life goes on. Things change, and sometimes that might be scary and seem like a bad thing, but then maybe that little change is what leads you to the next best thing in your life. You know, maybe that little thing, maybe the fact that your car wouldn't start this morning means that you will meet the person that you'll end up spending the rest of your life with on the bus or something like that, you know? Like, fate is such an interesting concept, and that's what this book does such a good job of portraying. And I think it was so cool. Just take time to get to know yourself, figure out who you are. Take your time and don't let anyone influence you doing that. No one else can tell you who you are or who you could be. That is completely up to you. In fact, I have a challenge for you. This is gonna be weird. This is gonna be fun. Okay, close your eyes, or don't, and think about something in your life that is stressing you out. Okay? Now, think about the land where you live. You know, think about your house or apartment and your yard or your balcony, and just think about the place where you live. Now zoom out and see the closest neighbors and the buildings around you or the lack thereof, and just see that world that you're a part of. Can't you see how small that thing that you're worrying about is? Now zoom out and picture the whole planet, the entire planet. On planet Earth, we're so small. Now zoom out to the rest of the galaxy, and you can go even further than that. In the best possible way, everything and nothing matters, all at the same time. I'm also going to steal a question from the book and hope that that's not too much of a spoiler. What are you going to do with your one wild and precious life? I want you to sit and think about that for a moment, because life is wild and life is precious, and things don't always go according to plan, but maybe that's a good thing. There's a song by Thomas Rhett called Life Changes, and I have loved that song since it came out. And one of my favorite lines is, "You make your plans and you hear God laughing," because He's got a plan for everybody. Your life is already planned out in the stars. Isn't that so interesting? That's crazy. And I just think that concept is so fascinating. And plus I love the stars. And like this, I drew this on the back of my hand yesterday while I was reading this. Or no, it was even before. Yesterday was the perfect day that I could have read this because I was just in the mindset of feel the universe around you and think about the size of it and how much and how little everything matters. So I drew this on the back of my hand, and then we were thinking about the stars and the planets and how everything is connected while reading this book, and it was perfect. Sometimes it takes a reboot to remember that life is wild and precious. But it is. Your world can be whatever you want it to be because it's your world. There's always going to be someone who disagrees with you or argues with you or doesn't like the way that you think or believe. Who gives a shit? That comes from a place of hate or spite or maybe even jealousy. Would you go to that person for advice? Probably not. So why would you listen to them when they criticize you? That's one of the best pieces of advice I've seen in a long time, which didn't come from this book, but just if you wouldn't go to someone for advice, why would you take their criticism? It's not worth it. They don't have that much of an impact on your life, so don't let them. Be who you are. Love who you love. Treat people with kindness. The world isn't always a loving place, but that doesn't mean that you can't create your own little bubble in which it is. Life is wild. Have some fun with it. That was my something review of Golden by Jessie Kirby. I already miss it. I mean, the feeling that this book gives me, it's unlike anything I've felt in a long time. And this space and mindset is just what I always want for myself in life. You know, to remember that life is wild and precious and important, and that it's a gift, and we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. But whatever it is, it's written in the stars for us. And that is exactly what I want my mindset to be. And I think that's really important. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Come back next Thursday for another video. Catch you later. Bye. Let's make sure. Oh, that was loud. Yeah, so, they, the one, this was, you know, like, come back next Thursday for that.